again.
Welcome back to the Reverbium podcast. Once again, I am your host, Jimmy.
And I am Shaun.
We did it, Shaun. We did it first try. I mean, if you ignore the fact that we got rid of the two other times we tried to record, talked about Chris Benoit, and then burped, then yeah, we're okay.
I don't know why we took the Chris Benoit content out. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, that's, you know what, that is fair.
Edgy comedy.
If you didn't realise,
well, it's not even edgy because he didn't say anything. If you said his name.
If you didn't realise by the Chris Benoit reference or the title of the video, we're talking about wrestling today. More so to do with the Royal Rumble and our favourite Royal Rumbles, and a bit of a recap on the most recent Royal Rumble that took place about a week ago on the 31st. So yeah, Shaun. Should we start off with recapping it?
I think we'll start with this week's one.
Yeah, I mean,
the juicy
recapping
content of the previous ones to us.
Yeah. Well, this week we had we have covered wrestling on the website before. I did a live tweet on Twitter for the Royal Rumble this weekend. So yeah, we're sort of going to go through the recap here and go through all the matches, what we thought about them, and then we're going to focus on the actual Royal Rumbles and go from there. So we'll get it over with now. Asuka and Charlotte Flair versus Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax for the for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. I don't know if you saw it because it was on the pre-show, Shaun.
I didn't watch pre-show, just the actual show itself.
Yeah. It was average.
I heard about what happened.
It was average. Ric Flair came out with Lacey Evans, distracted Charlotte Flair. Lacey hit Charlotte with the women's right, knocked her out. Shayna Baszler got the pin, I believe, and Shayna and Nia are now once again women's tag team champions. Nothing else there really. Was just an average match for the pre-show. So we'll ignore that and get into the juicy one, which is Goldberg versus Drew McIntyre. Oh boy. It was
only 2.5 minutes long.
Well, I mean, we expected it to be 2.5 minutes long. It was just whether it was going to be Goldberg winning.
Now, can
He never could, though. He's always done like this. His longest match in recent memory was The Undertaker versus Goldberg, and that was one of the worst matches I've ever seen. So
because it looked like they were both dying in the middle of the ring.
Well,
they're both too old.
What happened was Goldberg, he likes to headbutt doors before he comes out. He did that, gave himself a concussion, then went into a ring post, gave himself an even worse concussion. There was blood. Then he dropped Undertaker on his head. I don't want to go. We're not going back to Saudi Arabia. Let's just leave Saudi Arabia.
How we got another fight is beyond me.
And yeah. Not only did he get another fight, he beat the Fiend for the Universal title in that other fight. So, okay, all right, we're moving on. Goldberg did very well here. He put over Drew McIntyre massively. He didn't win the match. He didn't make up some excuse that he needed to be a superhero to all the kid fans and had to defeat the Fiend. He didn't do that this time. We just saw Drew McIntyre.
It was nice Goldberg. That it was he challenged him. He lost. He accepted McIntyre was good enough. We move on.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a long drawn out story for it. But we're back and forth and stuff. There's just nothing here.
Well, the thing that people were worried about was that Goldberg was going to enter himself into the Royal Rumble after this, which thankfully we will confirm now did not happen. So we're all happy. Yeah, that's all we really got for that. Next match was Sasha Banks versus Carmella for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Pretty simple. It wasn't their best. They've had like 3 matches now. It was probably the worst of the 3, but it was still a good match. Reggie, I think his name is Reginald. Reggie, the Somalia. He's still really good. Carmella's really improved in the ring. Sasha is as good as ever. Then Sasha retained. There's not really much to talk about this one. So we'll move on to the women's Royal
Started off
Rumble.
with some nice simple fights, didn't we? To be honest,
Yeah,
and nice easy with Bitch Smash Boss done.
yeah.
We wanted to win wins. That's all you need.
Yeah. And now we get to the women's Royal Rumble, which was, in my opinion, the best match of the night. Maybe.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I liked how long they took to eliminate people, and they actually let the ring fill up.
Yeah. Some highlights.
That doesn't happen in Royal Rumbles.
We won't go into detail, really, like too much detail, but we'll say some highlights for us. Billie Kay, highlight of the first half of the Rumble. Her just walking up to everyone, Shotzi coming out in the tank, shooting the projectile at her. Her teaming up with Jillian Hall, which was a surprise entrance. That was really cool. The Iconics coming sort of together, and then Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan basically betraying Billie Kay. Heartbreaking scenes. Victoria came back. Was there any other? Tori Wilson, who doesn't look like she's aged a day somehow. Yeah, I think that was.
And the best women's wrestler of all time, R-Truth.
Yeah, Sean loved it. Sean doesn't watch
It's
the weekly
amazing.
shows, so he doesn't mind the 24/7 stuff as much as other people would. But it was pretty good.
It's just comedic relief of it.
Yeah.
How can you not love it? It's R-Truth. How can you not love R-Truth?
No, he is good. He is good.
Don't know why he's still there, to be honest. But
he's 49, I believe now. I think he just turned 49. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
it's something crazy.
When you think of some of the actually good wrestlers who have been let go in recent years, and he's still there purely for comedic reasons with the 24/7 title.
I would have brought up good wrestlers like Lars Sullivan, but he just got released like 2 days ago, or got released in the past month, but it got announced 2 days ago, which was crazy that he was with the company that long. But anyway, irrelevant. Back to the women's Royal Rumble. Rhea Ripley looked really good. I skipped forward. Bianca Belair and Bayley had their little feud thing at the start. Always good. Bianca worked well with Naomi. They had a really good sequence where they were doing, I believe, like cartwheels together. Like one of them was holding the other, and they were just cartwheel. It was pretty good.
And they also have the section where they helped each other back into the ring as well.
Yeah, well, Naomi did I hate the spots where we're on the floor, but our feet are in the air, so we're not eliminated. So she did that, but it was pretty inventive how she got back in the ring. But
somebody had to do it because Kofi wasn't there. Somebody had to do something like that.
That is true. So we came down to the final four was Natalya, Charlotte Flair, and Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. Natalya went bye-bye, and then Belair and Ripley both teamed up on Charlotte, which was good.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Stand Charlotte Flair.
Did you watch WrestleMania last year, or did you catch any of it?
I think I did.
Yeah. Well.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did, because it was in the training center, wasn't it?
Yeah. One of the best matches of that WrestleMania was Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley, which should have ended with Rhea Ripley going over, but it didn't. And then from there, Rhea Ripley's she's still looked good, but she's not been to that. She obviously wasn't NXT Women's Champion after that because Charlotte beat her, and now it's Io Shirai, which is really good, but that's irrelevant to Rhea Ripley. She was a star, and that just killed all the momentum she's had. Even though they had an excellent match, Charlotte should have never gone over there. She should have never been NXT Women's Champion again. So this was sort of them squaring off. And in my head, I thought Rhea Ripley was going to win this Royal Rumble, because in my head, I was like, okay, have Rhea Ripley win the Royal Rumble, and then Charlotte will turn on Asuka, win the title, and then have Rhea Ripley go over at WrestleMania. over Charlotte finally, because I don't want Asuka to lose the title, but she's not doing anything with it at the moment. You need a big heel to like take over, get Charlotte in there because she has history with Ripley. She'll only hold it for a few months because Mania, which is fine, and then have her immediately drop it, and then she can go feud with Lacey Evans or whatever the hell she's still
Do
doing.
you think that maybe is the reason why they didn't do that? Because they currently have this Lacey Evans and her dad situation going on that
Yeah, but
for some
they,
reason doing whatever that is.
Bianca Belair had a feud with Bailey currently as well, so that would still be going on. They could have still done the whole thing, like had because there's still two pay-per-views before WrestleMania. There's Fastlane and Elimination Chamber, I believe. So I still think they're going to do the Rhea Ripley thing, have her win the Elimination Chamber, and have Charlotte take over, sort of thing. Like beat Asuka, maybe at Elimination Chamber or Fastlane. But we'll see. We'll never know. But yeah, Bianca Belair won the Royal Rumble, which was really good. She was one of the top two picks for me. Like Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair were my top two picks, and it was good to see that they were the last two. So I had no problems with this Royal Rumble. She made a really heartfelt like promo afterwards, which was really nice to see because it actually felt real and probably was real, to be honest. Yeah, what's your opinions? Anything else on that?
Yeah, so I obviously not watching week in, week out wrestling, anything like that. So probably about halfway through, I started to back Bianca. I did actually wanted to win. I did think Rhea Ripley was going to win with how it was going, but was happy that and yeah, for someone who doesn't watch week in, week out, doesn't know the feuds, everything.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. As I said earlier, I enjoyed that at the start they let the ring fill up a bit, because I think it might be wrong. There might have been like one or something, but I don't remember seeing the elimination till probably like 13, 14 when we were in the ring.
There was
And you got so
one.
much going on. I think there's one, yeah.
It was
I
Shotzi
can't remember who it
Blackheart.
was.
Shotzi Blackheart got thrown out by Shayna Baszler, I believe.
Yeah, apart from that, just people just kept piling in, and there's just so much going on that it's just more exciting, I think. Well, for me, watching anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm going to contradict myself later because you already know something I want to talk about, which then completely goes against that. But
so yeah, that's the Women's Rumble. Was really good. What I'd say maybe the best Women's Rumble. The second one was pretty good, and the first one was good for Asuka winning. They've all been really good. There hasn't been a bad Women's Rumble, in my opinion. There hasn't been a bad Rumble. Yeah, in the past few years at least.
Continue to get better as well, just as they expand the women's championship more. Because obviously the first one, obviously the women's division wasn't as big as it is now, so there probably wasn't as many people to call upon. I think didn't they bring in quite a few like older wrestlers for that first one? Basically make up the numbers sort of thing.
Well, the first one they did it to like get the nostalgia aspect out, like get all these older like divas and female wrestlers of the past to come back. But I mean, I'm saying divas because they were in the diva era. They're not divas now. That's what I meant. But it's just because they didn't use enough NXT talent, and they didn't use a lot in these rumbles either. There were like two pretty big ones in the women's match. Three, sorry. There was Shotzi, Dakota Kai, and Rhea Ripley, as far as I know. But Rhea may have been promoted. She hasn't appeared. She wasn't on Raw, and she wasn't on NXT this week. So it's likely she might be on SmackDown or Raw next week. But we'll see. I'd say SmackDown because Damian Priest is now on Raw, which we'll get to. But yeah, we'll move on to Kevin Owens versus the Universal Champion, the head of the table, Roman Reigns, which was an excellent match, marred by a slight botch at the end where Paul Heyman couldn't get the handcuffs off, and the referee had to stop his count because they couldn't have Roman Reigns lose. Which
you had Roman Reigns on one foot, claiming that he was.
He had a vertical base. Yeah. But it was an excellent match. Like the My favorite part was the golf cart with Roman Reigns driving the golf cart straight at Kevin Owens. Didn't expect it, and he didn't like just touch him. He ran that dude down. He rammed him with that golf cart, which was hilarious. It was one of the best moments in a match for a while. A lot of the backstage stuff was cool. I don't know where like Jey Uso was throughout this night. He wasn't in the Royal Rumble either, so he must have got injured because he declared himself for the Royal Rumble and then was not in it. So he wasn't involved, but it was yeah, it was just an excellent match. I'll let you get your thoughts out.
It was a nice one because obviously all the other matches were your standard matches. There was nothing good fights, but there was nothing special to them. They were just a
There was no
normal match.
gimmick.
So
Yeah.
it's nice. Yeah, so it's nice to have one of these gimmick matches of a last man standing, because although you kind of have two gimmick ones with the Royal Rumble, with them being different.
Mm-hmm.
I saw something and something where obviously they can just do a lot more. They can use props. They can use different areas of the arena, like they did with like going behind the stands and obviously into the back with the golf cart and the forklift truck or stuff like that.
Yeah, that was good.
Makes for a more exciting match and kind of breaks it up a bit and then really builds up ready for the Royal Rumble match.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty much it. So the men's Royal Rumble, the big one, the main event, saw Randy Orton and Edge take number 1 and 2, although switched around because I said them in the wrong order. Edge was number 1. They came out, had their mini match. Sami Zayn came out. Like Mustafa Ali came out. They all went after Edge. After a while, Edge and Randy fought on the outside. Randy had an injury of some sort. I don't know if it was a storyline or like an actual real injury because he looked partially injured, but he went to the back regardless. And we won't be seeing him again at all. No, not at all. Thank you, Michael Cole or whoever was trying to ignore the fact that he was still in the match. But there were some big moments in this, trying to think of them. Damian Priest, like I said before, he had a really good showing in this match, and I thought he genuinely might have a chance to win it, but that didn't happen. He did, however, manage to throw out The Miz and John Morrison after Bad Bunny's interference, which was... we forgot to mention Bad Bunny performed before the Women's Royal Rumble, his song Booker T, and Booker T stood on the stage. But he's a very popular musician at the moment. I think he has the highest selling album or highest listeners for it. I don't know. Something.
I've got to admit, I never heard of him before, but
I have heard of him because
that's not really my music. But
no, I've heard of him because he did I Like It with Cardi B. He's on that song,
yes,
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And
I do know him then, apparently.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's on the actual song. I'm not sure. I've definitely seen his name listed on that song. But but he came out distracted.
That's the main thing. But
what did you say? Sorry, could you?
No, they know it's the main thing, but I was just checking. But yeah, he is.
Yeah. So he came out, distracted Miz and Morrison. Miz and Morrison were thrown out by Damian Priest, and then Bad Bunny actually got onto the ring post and dived onto them, which was actually a pretty good dive. Apparently, he actually wants to wrestle, so that might be a thing soon. He may have a match at WrestleMania, which could be interesting. I'm not against it though, as long as he
have some celebrity appearance at WrestleMania, don't we? So.
Yeah, as long as because on Raw the next night he was in a segment with The Miz and John Morrison, and he brought out Damian Priest, which is a really nice debut. And Priest beat The Miz with some like help from Bad Bunny, well, not help, but he attacked Morrison on the outside, which was cool. And if they do something at WrestleMania, it will probably be Miz and Morrison versus Damian Priest and Bad Bunny, but that could change. But anyway, irrelevant. at the moment. Priest looked really good. Kane came out later on, had a moment with Daniel Bryan where they hugged in the middle of the ring as Team Hell No, and then he chokeslammed Daniel Bryan, who was Daniel Bryan was one of the favorites in this Rumble as well. I'm pretty sure he was the bookie's favorite at some point. So was like Big E.
It wasn't the day of, because I made the weird thing that why's his name just gone from me?
I'll let you think about it later. Damian Priest threw out Kane, which was like a huge moment, putting him over quite big. I forgot to mention as well, while we were talking about Damian Priest on Raw, Edge came out on Raw and like said Damian Priest was like a future star, like really bigged him up, shook his hand and everything. So that was really good for putting him over. Hopefully they don't ruin Priest like they did to Aleister Black, but that's another story. And I think my favourite part of this match was Matt Riddle and Daniel Bryan having their little technical battle in the middle of the ring. That was really cool and made me want to see that match, which we won't get because they're on different brands. So maybe eventually. And what else? Dominic Mysterio came out, eliminated Baron Corbin, King Corbin, whatever he's going under now, which is good. Fuck Corbin. The final few were Seth Rollins returned, and so did Braun Strowman. That's what I was going to
say. He was the favourite because we didn't know he was coming back.
I don't know how he was the favourite. That was ridiculous.
I think it's obviously somebody must have just got some information that he was coming back and coming back quite late in it, so would have a chance, and obviously could be a big return for him to win it, but it wasn't to be.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really need the win, to be honest. So, like, who was it? I think Strowman got rid of Daniel Bryan, and then Christian came back. Christian, I forgot about that. Christian and Edge had a really good moment in the ring where they hugged, and then Matt Riddle came next to him and they just double teamed him and destroyed him, which was funny. It's really nice to see Christian back, and he may be wrestling more. They've hinted at it because his retirement was random, and his last match was a number one contenders match for the IC title back in whenever he retired, and
4 years ago, I think I remember them saying, wasn't it?
I think it was 2014. I think it was 2014. I could be wrong though.
There's a 4 in there somewhere.
Yeah, and he like they've been hinting at him taking on Big E for the Intercontinental title, which would be cool. But anyway, Edge and Christian had a bit of a team up moment. They tried to get Strowman out, but Seth Rollins pushed both Strowman and Christian out, and then it was Edge and Seth. Edge got Seth out, and the commentary was like, Edge has won, and then Randy Orton came back and RKO, and everyone was like, oh no. But then they did a big swerve where Edge just threw Randy Orton out anyway, so Edge won. Really cool. The night had a new upcoming star like get put over big by winning the Rumble with Bianca Belair, and then an old returning star who was on a comeback of an injury. Like, it had two different stories and they did them perfectly. And so far, Edge's impact as the winner has been really cool to see, because he was on Raw, had a pretty good segment with Drew McIntyre. Then he went on to NXT last night from recording, had a confrontation with Finn Balor, who's the NXT champion, and Pete Dunne, who are both Finn and Pete are in a match at NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day, which is on Valentine's Day, February 14th. And he said, like, he's never won the NXT title, so he wants the NXT title. Like, he might be intrigued for it, you know. It was quite interesting. We're never going to get that match. It's not happening. But then also later in NXT, he was confronted by Karrion Kross, who, I don't know if you know who Karrion Kross is, but he's really, really good. Like, he was NXT champion for a day and had to relinquish it because he was injured. But he's not lost a match in NXT at the moment. And he's basically the Brock Lesnar of NXT, I would say. except he has a really, really cool entrance. So we may be seeing a WrestleMania match for the NXT title, but it'll most likely be Finn Balor versus Karrion Kross and not anything to do with Edge. So we probably won't see him challenge for that. And we haven't seen SmackDown yet, but it's rumored that Edge will take on Roman for this win. But anyway, Edge won Royal Rumble. It was really good. The overall night was really good. It was one of, under the circumstances, one of the best Royal Rumbles ever. One of the best events ever. I wouldn't say the matches were the best ever, but they were.
I think it was good because, although it's obviously still under the COVID restrictions, so there's no crowd or anything. Last year, especially like WrestleMania, I feel it didn't feel right. Obviously they had to do it, and
it wasn't bad though.
It was weird because it was but it was obviously in the training center. You didn't really have the atmosphere. I think as they've gone through like the year, they've got a lot better at like recreating the atmosphere in fights.
Yeah, I mean the whole year of pay-per-views past year has been like really good. There hasn't been a bad pay-per-view. There have been like average matches on some pay-per-views, but there hasn't been a bad pay-per-view, which is shocking, unless you count like earlier in the year with the Saudi Arabia show. But I don't really count the Saudi shows, I'll be honest. So
do you think the reason for that though is because they have a lot more leeway on what they can do because there isn't a crowd there? You don't have to work around the crowd of
Not
what
really.
the crowd can and can't see, what areas they can access.
It's WWE, they do dumb shit all the time.
Enough.
They still do a lot of this stuff with crowds. It's just I feel like they're adapting to this, so you're getting a bit more like backstage stuff, like with WrestleMania. Edge and Orton had like their 40-minute match, which was entirely like backstage. You wouldn't have probably got that otherwise because people would have wanted to see Edge on the main stage, like in front of everyone. But like they did what they had to do for the time, and it's fine. And WrestleMania is going to be held in an actual stadium, the stadium they were supposed to use last year, Raymond James Stadium. So we'll see where that goes. They're gonna have fans because the Super Bowl are gonna have fans. So unless Biden says no, it's gonna happen. So yeah, like I said, this Royal Rumble was a very well done Rumble. Like there was nothing really bad about the event. So yeah, anything else on your end for that?
One of the first times in the last few years there's been a pay-per-view that I've seen where there wasn't a meh fight. Like quite often there's like a filler one which there's not really much going on. It's not really for anything. It's two people that don't really care about, and you can tell it's a bit of a filler match to a match they need, where it didn't really feel like it this time. Like all the matches seemed really engaging and you wanted to pay attention to and keep watching. So I think it was really well done, to be fair to them.
Yeah. We have to say here, I know we mentioned it before, but Shaun doesn't watch weekly like I do, and he doesn't really watch the pay-per-views, but he'll watch like big events like Royal Rumble occasionally, maybe WrestleMania. So like from his perspective, that would be, that's his opinion, which I agree with him as well. So well, the last thing we should probably talk about is what are our personal favorite Rumbles that you can remember. Obviously, there are probably Rumbles that we've watched way in the past. Like we haven't gone back recently and watched Royal Rumbles, so it's hard to remember. But have you got one that sticks out in your mind?
Well, I have. It's not an actual a Royal Rumble. It's a one particular moment which wasn't going to get. I know it wouldn't get brought up because it's not technically a Royal Rumble.
Go on.
The greatest Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia, I think, will be Tyson Neil going under the ring.
Oh yeah,
going under the ring as he was coming towards the ring and stumbling. That is the greatest Royal Rumble moment ever. Nothing will top that. That's all I'm saying.
I really struggle to I didn't mind the Greatest Royal Rumble. It really wasn't that bad, but it's not a Royal Rumble in the traditional sense. But I will accept.
All I
I will
cared about
accept
was that.
titles.
All
I
I
will.
cared about was
Yeah,
going under the ring. That's just the best.
I will
I don't
accept
care
Titus
about the
Worldwide.
winner of it. I don't care anything else happening in that match. Just that moment.
But Daniel Bryan stayed in for the longest time ever in a match. Woo. Uh, anyway, fuck the Greatest Royal Rumble. What's your favorite that you can remember? Favorite Royal Rumble in your own head right now? What can you think? I would say
I
ever,
have
but it's
two.
probably not. Yeah, go.
I have two. The first one, which is kind of just because of who it is the 2006 with Rey Mysterio winning from number 2. Because at the time he did have the record for the longest time in the ring and for a win in the ring, I believe. Well, yeah, it must have been. That was a great one. But personally, you know you because we spoke about this before.
Yeah.
The 40-man Royal Rumble in 2011 is a personal favorite of mine.
Disgusting.
One, because more people, always more fun. I don't care for the fact that Alberto Del Rio won. I don't care for that. It was more I enjoyed the stuff going on with the new Nexus before the fight. I enjoyed the stuff of them working as a team, because this is where I then contradict myself from earlier of literally working as a team. One person comes in, up on him, throw him out.
Yeah.
The big turn on that when Cena comes in, them all out immediately, and then just for more comedic again is John Cena and Hornswoggle teaming up to just eliminate everyone coming in. That's amazing.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, yeah.
You hate me for that, but
No. I just don't like. I didn't actually mind. I think every Royal Rumble there's something to like. It's just I wouldn't pick that one because Del Rio won. Like that's pretty much my only reason. I'm gonna go for a bit of a cop out because it's so recent that people are gonna be like, "Oh, he hasn't watched a lot of Royal Rumbles." But I have multiple that I really like. Like 2007 was really good. 2008 was good. 2010, but one that I really enjoyed because it was much more of a personal thing because I was rooting for him to win before the Rumble. Like, really wanted him to win because he'd be, well, I know he's Scottish, but he'd be the first British champion if he'd won the title match at WrestleMania. But it was the 2020 Royal Rumble with Drew McIntyre winning. I thought it was excellent. Brock Lesnar coming out, destroying everyone ahead of him. Like, it was a brilliant story. It really built up to like make Drew McIntyre a star. Like, people weren't bothered before. Like, he started to get some fan reception, like some good fan reception, but it wasn't to the level like that it was until he kicked Brock Lesnar in the face and knocked him out of the ring. And it was excellent. Edge coming back was amazing. One of the biggest surprises, maybe the biggest Rumble surprise ever. Like, a lot of people might say, but the 1992 Royal Rumble, blah, blah, which is fine. I know a lot of people say it's the best Rumble ever. I actually don't know if I've ever seen it before. I need to go and see it just in case. But for me personally, like, the Drew win really was a star maker and an amazing Rumble altogether. It was also a Rumble that didn't really have a bad match from what I remember. I think Asuka versus Becky Lynch was really no, that wasn't that Rumble, was it? Oh, who was in that Rumble? Ooh, I don't remember. It may have been Asuka versus Becky Lynch. Again, they may have done it in that Rumble because I think Becky Lynch retained against Asuka. I could be wrong, but I remember the matches being good, irrelevant what was on the card. The we're talking about Rumble matches here, and the Rumble match was excellent in my opinion, and really put over Drew McIntyre as a star. Yeah, that's pretty much my opinion. I know. I think. Did you watch the? I assume you watched last year's Rumble, right?
normally, so although I don't watch often, I'll normally always watch Royal Rumble, always watch WrestleMania. They're like the two big ones for me.
Yeah.
WrestleMania because it's obviously the biggest one of the year, and Royal Rumble is just match
Yeah.
that they do.
Yeah.
just because you get to see so many wrestlers at once, and there's a lot going
on. So yeah, I think that's everything. We've had a good little 35-minute chat here. So those are our favourite Royal Rumbles. That's a bit of a recap of the this year's 2021 Royal Rumble, how we feel. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with Bianca Belair, whether she challenges Sasha or like Asuka or whoever's going to be the champions going into Mania. I think she'll probably challenge Sasha Banks, but we shall see. Edge looks interesting. He could go for any of the titles. NXT he won't go for, but it'd be nice to see. So yeah, I guess we'll plug our socials now. Follow us on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, find our website on WordPress. Well, you can find it online at the domain. You can also go through WordPress for it. Follow us on Facebook if you really care that much about Facebook. But Twitter and YouTube and the website are the three main sources that you can find our content on. So yeah, anything to plug?
Don't worry, we will be back with football sometime soon.
Yeah, we needed to break it up.
About it, even though we have done 1 week without.
Well, we're going to be doing a Pokemon one when it's Pokemon Day. I don't remember what day it is. Do you remember what day it is?
Monday is the 27th of February, although I don't think the direct will be that day because it's a Saturday. And they don't usually do them on a weekend.
Right. Well, if they do it beforehand, it'd be good.
It may be the 26th on the Friday, which could screw us over.
Well, if that happens, we may delay the podcast by a day to do it. We could do that. Yeah.
There's no point waiting a whole week.
Yeah.
The actual day is the 27th of February, but I can't see them do it on a Saturday.
Okay. That's fine. Like, even if I get the podcast up on the Sunday of the month, well, it'll be March, but it'll be fine. We'll tell you what we're doing on that day. We've still got a few podcasts before that. But next week we'll be on to something else. Probably football again. We don't know. There's not a lot of big news out right now. Not big topics, I would say. This was a good topic to move on to because it was just the Royal Rumble, moving to WrestleMania season. So yeah, anything else to plug? Have you posted anything on YouTube yet, Sean?
Not yet. I keep meaning to, but have not as of yet. I do have a couple of ideas for things, so yeah, hopefully sometime soon.
We did record a video for the Super Bowl. Like we recorded a Madden video. It took us about 2 hours to fucking record. Was crazy, and now the footage is gone. Like it's not gone, but we can't use it. It didn't. The format wasn't right. Nothing worked, which was a shame. It was a real shame. It was a funny event. Just so you know, our prediction, according to how the match went out, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning. Sean's not happy
put money
about
on that, everyone.
Don't put money on that. It's probably going to be the Chiefs, but that is our prediction. So enjoy the Super Bowl. Enjoy the Super Bowl this week. We may do an NFL one next week, but we're not. While we do follow it, we're not super knowledgeable, so it might just be a recap of the Super Bowl. But we'll see. We'll get there. But yeah, have a nice weekend and enjoy.